So since we have our speaker available, we will introduce her. I'm so glad for her to be on. Her name is Whitney Miner, and she's a certified nutritionist, plant-based chef, certified yoga instructor, and the voice of Eat Plants and Prosper, a wellness brand with tons of tips on living a plant-based lifestyle. Thank you so much, Whitney, for being on with us. I know you had an event last night, so I appreciate you getting up this morning and being with us, with our Sunshine family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beverly, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And hello to the Sunshine family. What a beautiful name, okay, first of all. So I could not wait to get on here with you guys today. I'm super excited, and I want to thank you, Beverly, for your patience and for selecting me to speak today. I'm really excited to be here. And I know my topic is vegetables. So we're going to get into the benefits of plants and, talk more about why we should, continue to have plants be the priority because they help you age beautifully. And this is something that we all need to be concerned with. We're living in a country where we have 6 in 10 Americans that have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 Americans have 2 or more chronic diseases, okay? And so in order to keep our health and to maintain our health, I want to give you guys these 3 keys so that we can age beautifully and gracefully. That is what we want, and it is possible despite what we have seen in our culture. And the reason why this is so important to me is because this was me, and this was way before the pandemic, okay? I used to do presentations like this before the pandemic, and this had way more dramatic effect before the pandemic, so I had to add that in there, right? So this is me in 2018. Actually, was in the urgent care. Actually, I was so sick, I had my mask on upside down. That's how sick I was. I had the flu and a sinus infection back to back. I was sick for like 5 weeks. And just to rewind, this was kind of a breaking point for me because I really have been pretty sickly my entire life, okay? I started getting migraines when I was 7 years old. My family and I had no idea what was going on, and we finally figured it out, but that continued to be something that plagues me at least once a month, like debilitating, like turn the lights out, you have to go to sleep to, allow the migraine to just pass, which sometimes will last for days. I ultimately ended up starting to take medication for it because they were so bad. I would just get a lot of stomach bugs, flu, sinus infection, like all of those things would just follow me. And I just got used to being sick. I used to joke around that I had a newborn immune system of a newborn baby. So I just would get sick so much. I was in and out of doctor's offices constantly. I was on antibiotics a lot. And so this was the breaking point. This was the point of, like, no return because being sick for 5 weeks was just like, okay, no, this is not going to be acceptable, right? You're okay with being sick like 1 week out of the month, but 5 weeks in a row, absolutely not. It's crazy. I had young daughters at the time that I was trying to, like, make sure I was available for, and I wanted to actually enjoy my own life. So I started researching how to get well holistically. And so everything that I was reading was talking about a plant-based diet. Now, I am from the Midwest, so I grew up eating meat and potatoes. Dairy was a staple in my household, and so I just was not open and also not knowledgeable about what a plant-based diet was. And everything I was reading was talking about it was a diet that's primarily based on plants, heavily beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, and all the beautiful vegetation. And so for me, I was kind of like, yeah, no, I don't know if that's something that I want to do. But I remembered back to when I had done a Daniel fast with my church. I've done a Daniel fast every year since 2006. And so I would always feel amazing after doing the Daniel fast for 21 days. But on that 21st day at midnight, I would be in line for McDonald's French fries. So I would go back to being sick again. And so I committed to myself. I had already done a Daniel fast in January, and so I was like, I'm going to do another Daniel fast. It was only March. This is 2018. And so I decided to do another one because I had gone back to my old eating habits, and, of course, as you saw in the picture, I was sick. So decided to do another 21 days because I did feel good when I was on the Daniel fast. It was just kind of the consistency. So I decided to do a 90 days, right? Because 90 days is what, psychologists say it takes to make a lifestyle change. And so I said if I don't get sick over the course of these 90 days, I will definitely have to consider making some changes to my lifestyle. Well, guess what, y'all? I didn't get sick. I didn't get sick at all. I was not in the doctor's office. I stayed off of antibiotics. I didn't have any migraines. And on top of that, I lost a ton of weight. My skin was glowing. I had a bunch of energy. I was sleeping better. I just felt totally amazing. And it was then that I knew that, God had used food to heal me. And then he used that opportunity to let me know that he was grateful and glad that I was healed, but that this also was my purpose here on earth, is to help my community get healthy with the transformative benefits of food, the power of food. And so that is why Eat Plants and Prosper was born, and that is why calls like this are so important to me, because it is literally my passion and my purpose, okay? So that's just my backstory and why this is really important to me. I went back and got certified to be a nutritionist. I also am a plant-based chef as well, just to be able to make sure that my community gets as healthy as possible so that you guys can fulfill your God-given purpose. And we can't do that when we're sick, okay? So let's talk about the 3 keys to aging well, okay? That's what we want to talk about. 3 easy steps to aging well. And the first one is eat food, okay? So you might be thinking about, okay, what does that mean? I eat food every day, multiple times a day. And I want to talk about eating real food. So, we hear a lot about things that we need to stay away from, and there's a good reason why, right? Like, they're treating us like lab rats and making things in chemistry labs and feeding them to us, a lot of ingredients which our bodies do not recognize, do not process well, and this is the culmination of eating so many of these types of foods is really what is starting to make us sick. And so we want to be well, so what we need to do is definitely eat real food. So, of course, staying away and abstaining from all processed foods is a little bit difficult in the country that we live in. However, there are things that you can do to make sure that the foods that you're eating are real and not what I call a UFO, or an unidentifiable food-like object, okay? So I love sharing this visual primarily because I used to eat the combos that you see on the right. I used to eat those all the time. You see the Triscuits on the left. They have 3 ingredients in them, okay? It's whole grain wheat, it's canola oil, and sea salt, compared to the combos on the right that have 37 ingredients in it, okay? Some of which I cannot pronounce, some of which, why are they even in there, And so when you start to see things that have a ton of foreign ingredients in them that you do not recognize as food, right? For instance, red 40 lake and yellow 6 lake, right? These things are detrimental to our health, okay? So we want to stay away from in foods. I have a rule that if it has more than 8 ingredients in it, you don't want to eat that. You don't want to consume it, okay? So make sure that you're turning the label over on anything that you're purchasing and making sure that the ingredients are not like a long list of 100 ingredients, and that these ingredients are things that your great-grandmother would recognize as food, okay? Your great-grandmother is not going to recognize sugar, or well, she'll recognize sugar, but not disodium inosinate, all right? Okay, why are we eating these things and we don't know what they are? We have no idea, and we've been accustomed to doing that. And so eat foods as close to the earth as possible with minimal processed ingredients, okay? So that's number 1, real food, okay? Again, this is to help you age well, longevity, right? Be thriving. That's what we want to do, okay? So this acronym I love, right? So a lot of people are like, I don't know what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat. Here is what we want to avoid, okay? The carbonated drinks. Okay, sparkling water is okay, so I need to refine this a little bit, because sparkling water is okay. But the carbonated drinks, any type of, I'm from the Midwest, so I say pop, but any type of pop or soda is a no-go, okay? Anything that has carbonation outside of kombucha or sparkling water, definitely want to get rid of their needless calories that we don't need in our diet and their sugar spikes, to cause sugar spikes, and we want to avoid that, okay? You want to avoid refined sugar and flour. That's your white sugar, white flour. So again, turning the package over and seeing if any of those things are in there. Artificial sweeteners, flavors, and colors. Again, very detrimental to your health, so stay away. And then processed food. So we're cutting the crap out of our diets here. So it's the acronym for crap. And then what we're going to do is actually eat food. So you want to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. You want to do organic lean protein, so that's where your beans or your lentils can come in here. You want to eat omega-3 fatty acids, okay? This is so important to keep your brain healthy as you age. So you want to make sure you have some of those in your diet, and then you're going to drink water, drinking water, okay? Our bodies need water to function properly. Okay, so that was key number 1. We're going to eat food. Key number 2 is not too much. Okay, the average restaurant meal today is more than 4 times larger than in the 1950s. And I actually did this research after going out to lunch with my mom, and she was asking for a medium beverage, and they gave it to her, but it was very big. And she's like, I asked for a medium, and he's like, oh, this is a medium. And she's like, oh my gosh, like this thing is huge. This would have been, a large or extra large, like, back in the day. And so I was like, I started looking into it, and the average restaurant meal today is more than 4 times larger than it was back in the 1950s. And what that does to us is that it expands our waistlines. And so one of the keys for us to maintain our health is to make sure that we're eating in proper proportion, okay? You can see how things were, the size of things 20 years ago versus today, right? You can go to Wendy's and order a quadruple baconator, right, with 4 patties and 4 strips of bacon and all this other stuff, which just wasn't a thing back in the day. And so our culture has increasingly taught us to eat more. And then if you grew up in a house like mine, you wanted to be part of the Clean Plate Club, or you had to be part of the Clean Plate Club. And so we psychologically feel like we need to eat more than we need to, okay? So watching your portion sizes is key number 2, okay? And then my last and favorite, this is why I'm here, we're going to make sure that we're eating mostly plants, okay? This is so important. We're talking about vegetables today. Okay, the question you're going to get when you start to tell people that you're eating more plants is about protein, right? People are asking about protein. Well, plants do have protein, okay? So the animals that you are eating are getting their protein from plants, right? Cows are not eating chickens, ducks are not eating pigs. They're eating plants, and that's where they're getting their protein from, and we can too. So here are 3 myths that you need to stop believing about protein so that you can get more vegetables into your diet, okay? Myth number 1, you are not protein deficient. Okay, you're not protein deficient. People living in America 99% of people in this country are not protein deficient. If you grew up or remember those commercials back kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, those kids that were starving, like in Africa, they had the huge stomachs, but they were emaciated. Those are people that are protein deficient. We are not protein deficient here, okay? Protein is not something that Americans are lacking. Americans are lacking in fiber, which you can only get from plant protein, okay? So we need to reverse that line of thinking, okay? Myth number 2 is that you can only get protein from animal sources. This is not true. There's all types of plant-based protein. All these beautiful beans that are on the screen are beautiful sources of protein. There's tofu. There's a lot of vegan proteins that you can get into to get away from eating some of the animal sources, because animal sources are the only source of cholesterol in our diets. Okay, they're the primary source of saturated fat in our diets as well. So if you're somebody that's struggling with high cholesterol or high blood pressure, you want to make sure that you're eating primarily plants. We all need to be eating primarily plants, but especially if you're having these challenges, because meat and dairy are the primary sources of cholesterol and saturated fat in our diets, okay? And then myth number 3 is that you can't get enough protein on a plant-based diet. It's just simply not true. And we need to kind of retrain our brains to stop thinking that protein is kind of the elevated of the 3 macronutrients between fat, carbs, and protein. Everybody wants to kind of elevate protein, and all the macronutrients are necessary in order to be healthy and thriving, okay? I have a protein calculator here as well so that you can determine exactly how much protein you need. Often we think it's way more than we actually do need, and often we feel like we're not getting enough when we really are. So just a side note on eating more vegetables, eating more plants, and, you know, that concept of I'm not getting enough protein if I do that, because a lot of people feel that way, okay? So in order to be healthy, you want your plate to be primarily focused on the vegetables, okay? The vegetables and the fruit need to be the star of your plate, okay? So we're going to reverse kind of what we've learned. So here you will go to Longhorn Steakhouse and get a 24-ounce porterhouse steak, which is absolutely crazy, right? That's even available to you. And that will be the big star of your plate, and then you will have a huge baked potato on the side and then a 3 sprigs of broccoli, right? That's how we've become accustomed to eating, and we have to reverse that in order to maintain health. Vegetables should be the star of your plate. So half of your plate is going to be full with vegetables, and then you're going to break the other half down between healthy starches and healthy protein, okay? That is the secret, you guys, to maintaining good health, maintaining your weight. This is how you're going to continue to thrive as you age, and it is all about making sure that vegetables are the star of your plate. Just simply changing the proportion of your plate can work wonders, and I've seen it time and time again, countless times with my nutrition and wellness coaching clients, okay? So this is a proven strategy here with just shifting the plate can do so much for your health, okay? So this is what your plate should look like, all right? You've got the vegetables here, just to give a actual real-time visual. The vegetables are the star, okay? They are the star of the show because that's what's going to help you get that vitality into your diet, okay, and give you the living foods that you need to maintain good health, okay? And then you see that the lentils, they selected lentils here as their protein, and then they've got the brown rice as the starch, and then some healthy sauce here that is providing the fat that they need, okay? So this is what your plate should look like. It's all about the vegetables. The vegetables are what are going to keep you thriving and give you the fiber that you need. So only 6% of Americans are getting the fiber that they need in their diet. I want people to quit asking where we're getting protein from and focus on where the fiber is coming through your diet, because that is what's going to help you with your blood sugar and maintaining and regulating it. It's going to help you with your digestive system, right, pushing food out the way that it needs to. It's going to help with increasing phytonutrients in your body, okay? Our plants, all the different colors and varieties have phytonutrients in them that our body needs in order to be healthy, right? So most of your immune system is found in your gut, and you need a diverse number of plants in your gut into your system to help your immune system function the way that it's supposed to, right? And many of us aren't getting them. A lot of us are, only eating, the same 4 or 5. I say black people love to have the same 4 or 5 vegetables. We will eat broccoli. We will eat green beans, cabbage, collard greens, right? Those are all things that we'll eat, but those are wonderful things, and we need to make sure we have those in our diet. But you also need red vegetables. They have red bell peppers here, tomatoes. Those red vegetables contain lycopene, which is a cancer-fighting ninja, right? The purple vegetables, so here there are purple onions here, eggplant, right? The list goes on and on of, blueberries, blackberries, those type of purple vegetables that you need that have, again, a lot of phytonutrients in them that, will help keep you healthy, help fight off the cancer, high blood pressure, and all of those things. So a variety of plants is important as well. So Are there any questions? Are there any questions? I would love to answer. It's not often that I know people get a chance to get in front of a nutritionist, so I want to make sure, Beverly, that I'm able to answer any questions that the team has, the group has.
Awesome. Yes, beautiful. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and unmute and ask right now.
What type of lean meats are recommended?
Good question. So, if you're going to have meat, I would definitely stick with seafood for a variety of reasons. Try to get wild caught, okay? So farm raised stuff is no good. So try to get wild caught if you're going to have seafood. It is the healthiest of the options. The beef is, so red meat has been classified as a type 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization. And what that means is basically, you know, what else is a type 1 carcinogen, to kind of give you an idea of how detrimental the red meat can be, is cigarettes. So the World Health Organization considers cigarettes a type 1 carcinogen, as well as red meat and processed meat, okay, because of their link to causing cancer, specifically colorectal cancer, okay? So I'm going to definitely tell you to stay away from red meat as much as possible. Stay away from processed meat. That's lunch meat, hot dogs, bacon. Stay away from those things. And lean more towards seafood. Wild-caught seafood is your best option, okay? We don't want farm-raised. And I will tell you this, that I don't try to push all my clients to go into 100% vegan, right? Because that's not realistic for everyone. That's not a realistic lifestyle choice for everybody. What I want you to do is try to eat as many plants as possible. But there are things that I want to tell you to avoid, because I know and understand the health issues that they continue to cause. And two things I want to point out is that it's not necessarily the meat itself, right? Because I hear a lot of feedback of, well, my grandmother ate bacon every day and she lived to be 95. The problem is how they're treating the meat, what they're doing to the meat. They were not doing that when your grandmother was alive, right? She knew the farmer. She knew where the meat was coming from, and she knew that the farmer was having some type of sustainable, ethical process, right? She was going to the butcher shop probably to get her meat back in the day. These are things that are not available to us now. We've moved into a factory farming system, and the way that they're treating the animals in terms of the antibiotics that they're giving the animals. So we're actually, and Beverly, we talked about this, I don't want to be doom and gloom at all, but we're starting to reach a point where we're going to be antibiotic resistant because of how much antibiotics they're putting into the meat, and we're consuming that meat, and so it's making us resistant to antibiotics, which is not a good thing. Okay, so it's how they're treating the meat. It's how they're shooting them up with hormones and all of those things. The animals are not happy, so you know we're believers in energy, right? We know that energy cannot be destroyed, right? So those animals are in dire conditions. A lot of them have been grown to sizes so big that they can't walk, they can't move. And so they're packed into these factory farms. They're in cages. They can't move around. These are not things that you want to consume, right? Because they're living a miserable existence. They're not the same chickens that your grandmother grew up eating that actually spent time outside and were living a normal life until the time that, you know, they were ready for us to eat, right? That's not the case. And so we just need to be more careful when we're talking about chicken and beef and pork. And so I would say if you're going to do anything, lean towards seafood and make sure that it's farm raised. I'm sorry, not farm raised, that it's wild caught.
I love how you explain that about, you know, back in the day, people were eating meat, but it's different than today. I like how you explained and broke that down, because that's a comment that a lot of people make. Well, my grandma and, yeah, so I'm glad you broke that down like that.
What did you say about artificial sweeteners? Like, can you have Sprite Zero?
No, ma'am. I'm so glad you asked this. Okay. So the artificial sweeteners, so we're talking about like Splenda, you know, aspartame, all those things that they use have been highly linked to cancer as well, okay? Highly linked to cancer. They are extremely dangerous. Stay away from all artificial sugar. What you want to use if you want a sweetener, stevia. So stevia leaf is one of my favorite things that comes from a plant. Monk fruit is another good option, okay? Those two things are much better for you, and much better options because they're plants that come from plants than the aspartame and the things that the soda companies like to use and put into the products to keep them like zero sugar, okay? So fake sugar is a no-go. It's definitely been linked to cancer, and I can go into more detail about it, but I'll just keep it high level. Do not consume fake sugar. Not good for you.
Whitney, I want to ask you about a vegetable. I've heard that vegetables with seeds in them, say, for instance, a tomato, that it can be harmful to your gut. And they say cut out the seeds if you want to eat them. What are your thoughts on that?
So I've heard this, and I think these are the nightshade vegetables that people are talking about because those are the ones that primarily have the seeds in them. So any vegetable with seeds in it is actually a fruit. So okra, bell peppers, cucumber, anything that you can think of, avocado, right, that has a seed in it, things that we consider vegetables are actually fruit, right? So my big thing about facts like this are that it's more helpful to eat these things than it is harmful, right? Okay. And so my focus will always be to try to eat as many clean things in your diet as possible. And I think that there are levels and stages to this thing, right? For example, I got a question the other day about should I not mixing certain fruits and vegetables together because of the digestive challenges that are provided when you do that. My comment to that is, are you there yet? Like, are you there where you're eating like primarily such a pristine, healthy diet that you can focus on, I'm not going to eat these two things together to optimize digestion? Or are you still trying to make sure that you get as many plants as possible into your diet, right? I think we suffer from analysis paralysis because we have so much information available to us, right, at this point. And so people are just spitting out all these facts, which could be very true, but also, like, there's stages to this, right? I don't want you to worry about there being seeds in a bell pepper if you are not, right, if you're still kind of eating McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think you should avoid nightshades. I'm not a believer in that at all. I think you should try to get as many plants as possible. And then once you are in a good stride with that, you can maybe start to focus on some of these other things. But I'm a huge advocate on there are no fruits and vegetables that God placed on this earth that should not be consumed by us unless we are in a mindset of I'm only eating raw alkaline vegan, right? If you haven't reached that step, there are many stages to go to, right? So I wouldn't worry about that. I don't think they're detrimental to your health in enough way to tell you not to eat them at all. I want you to eat every plant and vegetable that you can. But
yes, but if you're eating those vegetables and you're eating a lot of them and you're eating less of the, fast food, and you want to concern yourself about maybe getting too many seeds, is that the time to cut out the seeds or just go ahead and continue to eat them? I've started cutting out the seeds because I love tomatoes.
I was gonna say, don't get rid of the tomatoes. They're so good for you. They are cancer-fighting ninjas. Yeah, you can cut the seeds out of them. It doesn't hurt to do that because you're still getting the rest of the plant, And so if you're concerned about it, I would absolutely say, just continue to cut them out, And then stuff like okra, when you're doing that, you're help eliminate the slime and everything else with it, right? So there could be some benefits to cutting them out. You could also use those seeds to, as compost, and help start a tomato plant, right? And there are things you can do with it. So if you're there and you're already doing it, keep doing it. Do I think it's absolutely necessary? No. But if you're doing it, why not? And if it's feeling better to you, because some things are harder for us to digest. That's just a fact, right? We all have some fruits and vegetables that may be a little bit challenging on our digestive system. So if you're feeling better, I say keep doing it, Brenda.
Thank you very much, Whitney.
And the beautiful thing about that is our bodies will tell us. If it's not good for us, our body will tell us, okay, nope, no more of that.
Yes.
So listen to your body.
I have something, Whitney. This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. So we were kind of educated on the seeds and being seedless grapes. I was in the store, matter of fact, last night, and I took 15 minutes, I'm exaggerating, just looking at the grapes, which is going to be more beneficial to me. Now, the ones without seeds were more affordable for me, but I know that some are manipulated by man to have seedless seeds in them. So I was debating on, well, do I want to get that, or do I want to just get what I can afford at this point? And like you said, I was really just debating on which one, and I'm like, okay, just get the ones you can afford right now. You're still getting some type of healthy benefit from it. But they have cotton candy and all kind of flavored grapes. What's in these grapes? Is it sugar that's instilled in them, or why are they tasting so sweet and they're called cotton candy grapes?
They are delicious, by the way. I had
They
them.
are.
They're
delicious.
super good. So Lisa, I love this question. First, let me address what you were saying about seedless fruit. When possible, eat fruit with seeds in it, okay? First of all, that's how God made it. So I'm not sure why we think that we are smarter than him. It's a convenience thing for us. We want to take out what God has put in there. So we want to take something pure and manipulate it so that it's more convenient for us. I know God is like, what are y'all doing?
Right.
And so when possible, and this goes for watermelon as well, and eat some of the watermelon seeds. Okay, the watermelon seeds are full of zinc. They have minerals and vitamins in them. Okay, so eat some of the seeds when you're eating the watermelon, but get watermelons with seeds in them. Get the grapes with seeds in them when you can, right? If you cannot, try to find as clean as possible, right, produce. And so I would say if you have a choice between these expensive seedless grapes and organic regular grapes, I'm going to tell you to choose the organic regular grapes, right, because of price, right? If you're looking at the seedless grapes are more expensive. Go with the organic grapes. Say you can't get organic anything. Still eat produce. Just wash it really good when you get home, okay? So make sure that you are soaking it. I like to use baking soda and sprinkle it over the vegetables. They have all types of natural vegetable sprays, vegetable and fruit kind of sprays. Apple cider vinegar, though, and baking soda works very well to just get the wax and the pesticides off. You made the right choice of doing and getting what's affordable, right? Because that's what you can do. And you're still getting those plants in your system. So it's a much better choice to get what you can afford, and it'd be healthy for you than to not get it at all. I'm very sad that this country has put us in this situation, right, where we're having to make these choices, but you did the right thing and made the right choice. So definitely get the produce that you can afford. Try seedless options, seed options that are seeded, and then go down to options that are unseeded if you cannot find seedless or can't find seeded. Go to options that are seedless. And then organic is best, right? So if you can do organic, even if it doesn't have seeds in it, it's better to go organic, right, than anything else, because that's really the concern here is the pesticides and the sprays that they're putting on these produce that we're ingesting. So those cotton candy grapes, those things are genetically modified. Okay, so that's where the challenge comes in. Again, it's a chemistry lab, and they are creating and making all these flavors, not necessarily adding sugar to it, but they're basically creating things. And would you rather have something that's man-made or God-made? That's really the question when you're eating GMO products. Yeah, so I would say, definitely stay away from those things that you're seeing, and it's a lot of them now because eating healthy and even being vegan now has kind of become a buzz catchphrase for the food industry, and so they're marketing these things as health products are healthy for you, but they are genetically modified, and so they're not, at the end of the day. So just going with the regular grapes is a much better call.
I have a question. You mentioned tofu. Now, I hear all these different things about tofu. One minute I'm hearing, oh, tofu is great. Then, no, tofu, you can't eat that because it causes this. Then next minute, no, tofu has been. So what is your take on tofu?
So this is such a good question because yes, there's again a lot of information out there, and it's like which should I believe? Tofu in itself is not bad for you. So you think about the countries that eat tofu heavily, and that would be Asian countries, right? So you got Japan, who is up there in terms of longevity. I think they're number one in terms of people living into their hundreds, being centenarians, living into their hundreds, and not just living to their hundreds, but being healthy and thriving, okay? So it's not bad for you. The problem is that we have genetically modified it, and soy is one of the most heavily genetically modified crops, corn and soy, okay? So what you want to do is make sure that you are eating non-GMO tofu, okay? If you're going to have it, that's what you want to go for. That is a huge deal when it comes to the soy, and I think that that's a big issue that we need to be focused on. Other than that, it is very healthy for you. It's a great source of plant-based protein, and just if you learn how to make it right, it can be delicious. Was one of my things I hated when I first started going into this lifestyle, and then I've learned how to make it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good. So I'm a big fan of it. I think really our challenge here a lot of times is that we're trying to blame the wrong things for causing health issues. So a lot of the concern with soy, for men particularly, is about the hormones because there are estrogen compounds within the soybeans, and so that was a big concern. But it's like, well, what else are you eating in your diet as well that it could be contributing to this? And the same thing as with breast cancer, because that's what they're trying to make that link between soy and various forms of cancer, including breast cancer. It's like, was this person drinking milk? Were they eating dairy, right? Those are concerns that we need to have as well when we're looking at, was it just soy or was it other factors in the diet? So I think that from all of my research, tofu is a good thing for you to get into your diet. It's a great meat replacement, but make sure that it's non-GMO.
Okay, awesome. It sounds like basically what you're saying is when we're eating our food, we really need to find out what the source is. If it's a GMO, stay away from it. Pretty much, of course there are healthier choices and everything, but whatever we decide to eat, make sure it's a healthily made or whatever the case may be.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I think we need to get back to eating as close to earth as possible. So turning over that package and looking at the nutrition, information on the back of it to ensure that we're meeting our needs and it's not over in sodium, saturated fat, or sugar. And then looking at that ingredient list and making sure that there's not 25 ingredients and things that we can't pronounce. And then to your point, looking to see how, like, is it non-GMO? Is it grass-fed, organic, farm-raised? Is it wild-caught? Right? Those are things that we need to be making sure that we're looking for. So, yes, the source of things and is very important, very important.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Do I have one? What about all this with the mushroom coffee? Do you know anything about it? Like, is it really good for you?
I'm a big fan of the mushroom coffee. I'm a big fan of mushrooms in general. I'm a big fan of mushroom coffee. I have a container in my cabinet right now. I also have mushroom hot chocolate. So mushrooms are adaptogens, which means that they help you calm down. Hey, who couldn't use that naturally, right? Like from natural sources. Okay.
Right.
So mushrooms also are loaded with vitamin E, which are good for your immune system, your hair, your bones, your teeth, your skin. So I'm a big fan of mushrooms, and this mushroom coffee for me is a major win. That's one of those products that I'm like, yes, that's coming to market that I'm excited about because we need to get as many mushrooms into our diet as possible because of their health benefits. They're also really good for your brain health, right? I'm missing a whole bunch of attributes, but like mushrooms, again, and talking about aging, well, mushrooms are so good for your brain health. So I love mushroom coffee. Now, the problem with coffee, and I always tell people, is not that we're drinking it, it's what we're putting in the coffee, okay? That's really the problem.
Right.
Because sometimes we want more cream and sugar than we want coffee, okay? So we got to wean ourselves back from those things. Use stevia leaf. You know, I have a brand that I like. What's the name of this brand? I can see it. It's in a green line.
Yeah, I'm a monk fruit user. What about monk fruit? What about agave?
I was just talking about that this morning. I literally was just talking about that this morning, Tarsha. So I was like going through my healthy sugar alternatives. I'm an agave fan, but it is, you know, you have to use it sparingly as well. You know, I would say that in terms of those liquid sweeteners, honey, maple syrup, and agave, kind of like in that order in terms of health benefits. Because of honey, and especially local honey. So wherever you guys are, look for local honey, okay? Because
yes,
you know, God is so smart, like the way that He has like made this whole thing work out. But the bees in your area, you know, are going to provide you with honey that is helpful for allergy season. It gets really bad here in Atlanta, and so local honey. Then the maple syrup.
I go to the feed store. I always go to the feed store for my honey.
That's so good.
Yes,
and even eating some of the honeycomb is good too. So if you can get the honey with the honeycomb in it, actually eating some of the honeycomb has antibacterial. Honey is antibacterial. It's something that we don't know, right? Antiviral. And so eating some of the honeycomb even helps to boost that as well in your system. So, yeah, if you can get some with the honeycomb, that's even better because you could just take little bites of it, and it will help with the antiviral bacteria the properties that it brings. So I would say, you know, honey, maple syrup, and then agave in terms of the liquid sweeteners. Yeah, it's not, agave isn't a terrible option, but it's not the healthiest, and it's the processing of the agave that is the problem. Again. So that's really the problem, how they process it, which it makes it less healthy than others.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
And the maple syrup was mentioned earlier, and we've mentioned it before. Make sure it's 100% real maple syrup, not Aunt Jemima or any of those. Just keep that. I know you guys know it, but just, you know, it needs to be said.
Yes, I'm grateful that you mentioned that as well because we grew up eating that. I grew up eating Aunt Jemima. It's, what is it, Pearl Mill Company now? They changed the name, you know, to not be Aunt Jemima anymore. Yeah. I think it's Pearl Mill Company or something like that. Yeah, they changed it, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They should have years ago, but yeah, we're not doing that syrup. It is definitely like 100% pure maple syrup. You know, and I want to make sure too, if you guys have any questions about the Daniel fast, because I know that you were saying, you know, there might be some interest with Daniel fast, and so yeah, I want to make sure that if anyone is interested in any type of cleanse or any of those things, I'm more than willing to talk about them because I do think they're so important.
Yes, that was actually my next question, was for you to give us information about the Daniel fast that you do and that you share with your community. And also I noticed that because I ordered your Daniel fast recipes.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to trying those out. So can you tell us about your program?
Yes, I'm so excited that you ordered, and I definitely want to hear what you think. So the Daniel fast, clearly, as I was talking about at the beginning of the call, was something that changed my life because I wouldn't have even been open to this plant-based lifestyle if I hadn't done the Daniel fast and actually known that I could complete it, and then also remembering how good I feel every year when I do it. So because that was kind of like my gateway into this and letting me know what was possible and also giving me that good cleanse so that I understood actually the long-term benefits of eating this way, I started doing a Daniel fast for my community. So the Daniel fast is a 21-day fast. It's based off the book of Daniel in the Bible. It's Daniel chapter 10. Daniel used prayer and fasting as tools of spiritual warfare in very contentious situations, okay? He was basically the right-hand man for a king that was pretty cruel and violent. And so, in order to preserve himself, he used prayer and fasting as a way to help him stay in a good space and stay healthy, right? And so that's what the Daniel fast is based on. Is just eating a diet primarily for the 21 days of, no processed food, no fried food, no sugar. What you are eating is life-giving food. So lots of plants, fruits, veggies, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes. It's very clean, a very clean diet. It's a great reset for your system, right? It's a great reset. And when you do something for 21 days, regarding your diet, it actually helps to reset your palate as well. And so you won't be craving the sweet stuff. You won't be craving all of the junk that you may have been eating prior to, because your palate starts to reset itself. So that's also a good reason for the 21 days. But the program comes with a devotional, a daily devotional. I write a new one every single year. This year's theme was shine, because I feel like God is calling us to shine. This year in 2025, we really have to shine our lights in what seems to be a dark place, right? And so we are called to do that, so that we can be the light. We are the light. We are the salt of the earth. We are the light of this world. And I feel really calling us to step forward into that space. And so the devotional is a daily devotional for the 21 days based on that theme. And then you also get a meal plan that comes with recipes and a grocery list, because a lot of people want to eat better, but they don't know what to eat, and they don't know where to get the stuff, or they don't know recipes that are actually tasty, right? Because one of my biggest pet peeves is spending money on food that doesn't taste good, right? And so the recipes are vetted, they're tried out, they're true, they're delicious, and you get the shopping list. So all you have to do is print the shopping list and take it to the grocery store with you and print it off, and you're able to walk through the all 21 days with that level of guidance. And so, most people are just looking for that. They're looking for, hey, how do I do this? Like, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. I don't want to research it. But I've helped over 1,000 people do the Daniel fast over the course of the 5 years that I've been doing it. Those people, a lot of them have been able to change their health, right, turn their health around, because that's really all it takes is to we're not going to talk about cutting out, Beverly. We're going to talk about what you're adding into your diet, right? What you're focusing on is so important. And so, doing that helps people get off of blood pressure medication, right? Help them get their blood sugar levels regulated so they can get off of type 2 diabetes medication, right? It really just can transform your health in just those short 3 weeks, because you're eating so much food that's packed with fiber and nutrients that your body needs. And so your body gets very happy and does what it's supposed to do. It starts functioning the way that it's supposed to. And so my goal is to try to get as many people as possible to participate in a Daniel fast, so that, it's not just about the diet. That's a big portion of it, but it's also about your mental and spiritual health as well. And so the Daniel fast combines all those three things. You start reading these devotionals, you're eating all this yummy food, and next thing you know, you're elevating, right? Your whole vibration, your energy is shifting, and it's an amazing thing to watch. And so I'm just grateful to be able to offer it up to my community and to this group. And actually, if anybody is interested in it, I didn't even talk to you about this, Beverly. I have a discount code for the Sunshine group. If you guys are interested, the code is Sunshine 10. I typed it in the chat. Okay. And I'll put the link to the Daniel fast in there, just so you guys can see what it's all about. I definitely would love to have any of you in this, because you guys are focused on your health. And when you're in that space, literally miracles can happen, because you have the intention in your mind that I want to be healthy, and that's why you all are here. And so when you get the blueprint on how to do it, you guys skyrocket, right? Because you're not struggling with even getting into the mindset that I want to be healthier. Okay, so.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I did this, but I wound up eating this, or I did this, and I wanted. It's okay. It's okay that the first time you do it, you're not, on it immediately. It's okay. It's a gradual process. And then eventually you get to the point where you're eating exactly what you want to eat and what your body wants you to eat. So it's a process. Don't beat yourself up. Just, maybe set your goal and shoot towards it. Because I'm quite sure what you're doing is you're better than you were the year before. Even if you're not quite where you want to be, you're better than the year before. And that's what you need to look at, and that's what you need to celebrate. Yeah.
I always talk about the consistency and also progress over perfection. Perfection does not exist. It doesn't exist. And so we would have, and this, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. If I put so much pressure on myself to perform at this level, and then I fall off, it's kind of like, I would allow myself to continue to fall off, right? Just like your pastor was saying, you just stay off the wagon, right? And so what you want to do is, understand, to Beverly's point, show yourself some grace. You've taken great steps. You fall off, have a misstep, just get back up again and keep going. So y'all are definitely speaking some great things. And just for what you're talking about with the spiritual warfare, I think one of the things we don't understand is that, especially in this country, Eastern medicine is a much more holistic practice. So it takes into account mind, body, and spirit. Here in the Western world, okay, if you have health issues, you're going to a cardiologist. If you have brain issues, you're going to a neurologist, right? Or nerve issues, you're going to a neurologist. If you have rheumatoid issues, you're going to see a rheumatoid specialist, right? And so there is a lot of disjointed, and no one's talking to each other, and then no one is talking about your spiritual self and your mental health, right? Your gut and your brain are connected by a big nerve in your body called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S, vagus nerve. If you don't fuel your body and fuel your gut with healthy things, your serotonin production drops immediately, right? So I always talk about serotonin because that's a hormone that everyone has heard of before. Serotonin is a happy hormone. That's the hormone that makes you feel good about life, make you feel good about yourself. 90% of that hormone is produced in your gut and sent to your brain through the vagus nerve. And so if you're not fueling your gut the way that you should, your mental health definitely suffers from it, right? Your mental health. And so what Brandon is talking about is mental clarity, the mental clarity that comes when you are fueling your body with food that your body recognizes and is like, oh, I know how to process this. And so your body starts to actually function the way God made it to function. And so the brain fog, the reason people have to drink 4 cups of coffee in the morning before they wake up is because they have a lot of brain fog from the things that they're eating and all that. And so once that starts to go away, he's talking about the spiritual clarity that you get, the mental clarity that you get, from fueling yourself and nourishing yourself the way God intended us to. So I appreciate you for sharing that so much, Brandon, because it's a real thing. And it's something that I talk about with the Daniel fast a lot is that brain fog starts to go away. And you're like, whoa, I don't need coffee. And as a matter of fact, I am focused, I'm clear, I'm coherent, in a way that you may have never been in a very long time. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
My question is, okay, so we're talking about eating healthier and trying to get these green vegetables in us for the fiber and all that. So when you don't get fresh, what is your thought on frozen vegetables, and is there something that I need to be looking for when I purchase frozen vegetables? Because I find myself here recently, I say, they're talking about the economy and you need to stock up on this and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know anything about canning, and I wish one day we'll have a class about canning because that would be great for me. But what do you have to say about frozen vegetables?
This is a really good question, a phenomenal question. And actually, Beverly, I put out a seasonal produce list every single month, and I want to make sure I can get that to the group. So maybe I will send it to you via email so you can distribute it, because it's important for us to know what's in season and what to buy. And the reason I'm going into Jackie, at this point is because frozen fruits and vegetables are basically, if you can't get fresh, that would be my next option, right, that I would choose, because frozen fruits and vegetables are picked and frozen during their peak produce season. Okay, so if you're having green beans, right, they're peak during they're picked and frozen during the time that green beans are at the top of their growing season, right? And so they are an excellent option for not being able to get fresh. They're also actually a lot cheaper option as well sometimes, right, if budget is a concern. So I'm a big advocate of frozen vegetables. I think they're a great alternative to, like, for instance, strawberries are coming in season, but the strawberries that are, have been on the market for the last few months, they're not in season, and so they're less nutritious for us than actual strawberries, during the growing season. So you're better off having a frozen strawberry in December than you would be, right, having a fresh strawberry in December, okay, because those strawberries were picked during the springtime when they're good. So frozen is a phenomenal option. If you can buy organic, of course, that is great and excellent. Otherwise, just non-GMO is fine. Otherwise, regular frozen vegetables, right? So those would be the 3 tiers of, one option, 1, 2, and 3. But frozen veggies are a phenomenal option. Definitely get them into your diet because they're cheaper a lot of times, and they're actually more have more nutrients in them because they're picked during the peak season versus the things that can be on the shelves now that may not, they're just using them as, right, they're not actually in season. They're growing all year round, and they're not as nutritious. So great question, Jackie.
Yes, ma'am. So what was the tier again? Organic,
and then non-GMO, because everything that's non-GMO is not organic. So again, these labels here in this country, and then just regular frozen vegetables or fruit. So, and again, there's nothing wrong with the regular because a lot of times we're not buying the organic produce because it can be super pricey too. So if you have a choice and budget is not as much of a concern, get organic.
Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Brandon, you put your fruits in glass mason jars that last longer.
Yes. I love that suggestion. And speaking of last longer, your salad that you bring home from the store in those box containers, after you open it up, put a paper towel, just a dry paper towel, inside with the lettuce and keep it in the refrigerator like that. It draws all the moisture out of the lettuce onto the paper towel, and it keeps your greens fresher longer. So, and then the other tip, then, since we're talking about lasting longer, so thank you, Brandon, for bringing this up too, making your produce last longer, is your herbs. Herbs are highly medicinal, you guys. So we're talking about eating plants. Get as much parsley, cilantro, basil. These things are literally, all plants are medicinal, but herbs are compact powerhouses in terms of actual medicine per size, per quantity. Okay. And also, they're cheaper. They're a lot cheaper than, buying the big containers of lettuce. And I'm not saying don't buy the lettuce, but what I'm saying to you is that herbs are cheaper. You can get parsley for $2 a bunch sometimes, or $1 for 2 bunches sometimes, okay? And so parsley is full of vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium. You guys, put as much herbs on your products, on your food, in your diet as possible. But when you bring your herbs home from the store, you're going to use a damp paper towel. So you're not using a damp paper towel for the lettuce. That paper towel is dry. But for your herbs, when you come home, get a paper towel, put a little water on it so that it's damp, and wrap your herbs in your fridge, and they last much longer. You can also put the herbs in kind of like a vase, and put it in your refrigerator, but I don't have room for all that, and I'll knock the water over. I already know myself, so the plastic bag method works a lot better for me. But that's a way to kind of make your greens and last a little bit longer. Thank you, Brandon, for that tip. It's important because how many of us have brought produce home and then it goes in the trash because it spoils before we can get to it.
Is there a quick, easy recipe that you could share with us, or something that you could give a suggestion for that we could try?
Yes, I would love to. First of all, I was just thinking about doing a cooking demo with this group. I would love to do that, and I also
Mhm.
let's talk Beverly because I would love for us to have the group that wants to do the Daniel fast. I would love to have like sessions with y'all. So let's talk about how we can make that work because I want to offer that. I want to offer that up to you guys.
Yes.
But this is one of my favorite recipes it's so easy, you guys, and literally it's so delicious and good for you. Grape tomatoes, garlic, and olive oil, okay? Put those things in a pan. Now, you can I use plant-based feta cheese. I use Follow Your Heart. That brand has pretty good ingredients in it. It's not too bad. Or you can use regular feta cheese, okay? Just try to make sure it's as good for you as possible. You put that in a baking dish. You drizzle the olive oil, and it's a good amount of olive oil. And olive oil is a heart-healthy fat, okay? So we're good with the olive oil, all right? Drizzling the olive oil over. You season the tomatoes up really good. I use pink sea salt. The pink sea salt has more nutrients, more vitamins and minerals in it than regular salt. We're not using Morton's anymore, guys. Throw it away. No iodized salt. Replace with pink sea salt. Sprinkle that on. I like to use Mrs. Dash garlic and herb, and then whatever herbs you like. So I like to use like the Italian seasoning here, basil, oregano, any of those work, okay? And then you just bake it in the oven at 400 degrees until your tomatoes start to get like brown and start to pop open. So you put the garlic cloves in there whole, the tomatoes in there whole. Literally, it's just dumping all those things in there, spreading with good amount of olive oil. Take it out of the oven. It takes probably 25 to 30 minutes. And then you just mash the garlic and the tomatoes up with a fork. Okay? And it's a pasta sauce. Homemade pasta sauce. You literally dumped everything into the pan, put it in the oven, and then all you have to do is cook your pasta of choice. I'm a big fan of brown rice pasta. I like chickpea pasta too, but the texture can be weird with the chickpea pasta. I find brown rice pasta has a better a consistency that's more like regular pasta. And you guys, you boil that pasta water, and you have a delicious meal. It's so easy. At the end, after you mash up the tomatoes and the garlic, I like to stir in like arugula or spinach, some type of green into it, so you have some green in there as well. And you don't need to cook it because when you just lay the spinach and the arugula on top of the hot tomatoes, it wilts it and you just stir it in until all the greens wilt. So you've got greens, you got tomatoes, you got garlic, all of which are so amazing for you, and it's super easy and simple and delicious. And it's one of those meals that the whole family loves. So that's one of my easy, definite go-tos.
That sounds delicious. I love spaghetti, but I can't eat it anymore, not as much because of what all goes in it. But that sounds delicious. I'm definitely going to try that this week, especially when we start, because you can get that with the Daniel fast, right?
You can. With the Daniel fast, you're going to leave the feta cheese out, but it's good by itself. That sauce, I'll make it sometimes just without the feta cheese because it's amazing that way. And if you do it for the Daniel fast, you can stir in like some olives. So those of us that love olives and capers, that's also a good alternative. And you can kind of turn it into a pasta puttanesca, which is like the spicy pasta, but put some red pepper flakes, olives, some Kalamata olives in there, or green olives and capers. So that it has a lot of arms and legs. So you can just use the base tomato sauce. You can add the feta cheese to it or not, and then you can also add and mix in other things as well to kind of change the texture and taste and flavor of the sauce. So it's a good recipe for sure.
Oh my God! I need to stop talking about food before, because 12 o'clock. I'm not supposed to eat till 12, and you got my stomach growling. It's okay. That's a good thing. Someone asked, what is the cost for the Daniel fast?
Good question. It's $69, but you guys are getting some off of that, and the $69 gets you the devotional and then also the meal plan, which is both are important, but the meal plan is really helpful to just so you don't have to think about it, right? And it introduces you to recipes that you know are in alignment with the Daniel fast. You don't have to think and guess and do all that work. It's already done for you. So that's the cost.
Beautiful. And then we'll also have you to guide us along the way.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? Is the difference, you know, with this situation is that you do have me, and I'm more than willing to, you know, like I said, let's talk about how we can get some sessions and stuff set up so that, you know, we're all in this together, and you know, everybody feels like they're, you know, getting what they need out of it. I want to make sure that you guys do for sure.
That would be awesome. That would be wonderful.
I appreciate the kind feedback and the comments. It truly means so much to me. You can follow me. I can share my screen one more time, so I have my information.
I'm not on the screen. I'm on the phone, so that's why I'm not able to see.
No problem. My website is eatplantsandprosper.com. Eatplantsandprosper.com. And then you can find me on Facebook at Eat Plants and Prosper. And then I'm also on Instagram at Eat Plants Prosper. No and in that one.
That is so awesome. I'm so glad that you guys have joined us and that you guys enjoyed the call. Whitney, you have been phenomenal. Your information is amazing. So I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. And I'm looking forward to this Daniel fast and, you know, getting to talk to you more. I was hoping you would offer that to speak with us more, but, you know, I try not to be too pushy sometimes.
I was hoping you would accept it because I'm like, I definitely want to talk to them more.
Most definitely. We're trying to collab more with people that are like-minded and build our community. So, you know, we have our little Sunshine family. We're trying to make the family a whole lot bigger. So thank you again. If anybody else is interested in the Daniel fast, reach out to me. You can reach out to Whitney. Her information will be on all of this that you put on here, the website, the email, Instagram, all of that. We will have that on GroupMe as soon as we hang up the call. I should be able to get that on there. And awesome. So we'll be getting in touch with you soon, Whitney. Thank you again so much for coming on. I really appreciate the information.
Beverly, I just want to commend you for putting this all together. Like, it's so amazing. And you've got 25 people on a call on a Saturday. So this obviously is valuable information and priceless. So thank you for being an advocate for your community. And I appreciate you so much for allowing me to join. And y'all were awesome. Seriously, y'all were so awesome. Thank you so much.
I want to wish everybody a happy Saturday and a wonderful week. Have a beautiful day. And whatever you do today, do something that you love. Peace and love, everybody.